Stephen Kelly's with us this morning. You were doing Reading Cardiff yesterday, I've talked about.
Yes, I did Reading Cardiff. Yeah, it was a good game actually.
Important for Reading to get a few points on the board after the last couple of seasons, and the start of this campaign wasn't great for them, but they looked impressive. The new signing, Puskas, came up with a fantastic couple of goals. So,
what are Cardiff like at the moment?
I expected Cardiff to do okay this season, really, realistically, because Neil Warnock always has his teams really well organised and set up, and I didn't expect them to have as much as a hangover as, say, the likes of Huddersfield, but they were totally off the pace yesterday. They started off the first 15 minutes well, but after that they just disintegrated really. Reading got on the ball, played much better football, and it could have been 5 or 6. They missed a 1-on-1 penalty. There was a lot of opportunities that they should have scored, and Cardiff just looked way off the pace.
Let's talk about Arsenal first, just because Gary Breen brought it up there. He says that he thinks that they have a manager who's made the team accountable. It's obviously something that he feels is important, that sense that no one's going to be allowed to drift through seasons the way it certainly seemed at the end of the Wenger era, and even last year the squad wasn't strong enough, where players weren't playing well, that they were still getting played, still getting picked. Do they have enough strength and depth at the moment to be able to not have players coasting?
They've definitely improved their squad in comparison to what they've had over the last few seasons, and their attacking threat is some of the best around at the moment. He is trying to make them accountable, and you can see with the likes of Ozil last season, he played for a good bit, but then it got to the point where he just decided, I'm not going to drop on. And to do that to the highest paid player of the club was a big statement from him last year, to show that he, regardless of what was going on behind the scenes, he was the one that was picking the team and making decisions. So for them, he seems like a very good manager. He knows what he wants, and he's gradually trying to build a team of that can do what he wants them to do. It's just whether this season is going to be the one that they can achieve it. Pepe came on and he looked like he's got a lot about him. The little turn I saw it's amazing turn, middle of the pitch, through the player's legs, opened up his legs, and you're just thinking this guy's could have goals in him as well. Aubameyang, first game of the season, his movement off the ball was amazing again over the weekend. So I just think they do have the makings of what could be a very good attacking threat. Defensively, it's whether they can hold out, but the game to win the way they did 2-1 and hold on, sometimes they'd be bullied and pushed over, and they'd end up losing that game or drawing it. So I think that is a step forward for them.
The key part of the performance obviously was Danny Ceballos on his debut, man of the match, unbelievable, with 2 assists. And something that people spoke about when it came to Danny Ceballos before he came to Arsenal was not assists. It was not playing in the 10 role. And I'm not sure, is that down to Real Madrid and a lack of a system that allows him to thrive there, or what it is, or has Unai Emery just stumbled upon his best position?
I think Emery would have had a good look at him over pre-season and tried to discover where he was going to fit into his plans. And again, if you're playing at Real Madrid, the chances of getting a number 10 role are probably slim, unless you're the best player in the world. So they would have been slim enough for him in that position at Real Madrid. So when he came to Arsenal, his pre-season would have dictated how he was going to play and how Emery would have seen how he's going to fit into his plans. But yesterday it was a standout performance. He was excellent in all areas, but his assists were fantastic. So it's, again, if someone like that can do that on a regular for them and create goals for those attacking players that they have in abundance at the moment, then they'd be in a good position.
Yeah, for sure. Like, 'cause the logic was that he'd be part of a midfield 3, which if you look at it that way, he really was, but kind of more advanced, I guess. Like, when you're looking at that, is it a situation where obviously you're going to have Pepe on the right? Would you go for Lacazette or Aubameyang through the middle? Because I think when it comes to goal scoring number 9s, Aubameyang's as good as anybody else in the league, but perhaps for team cohesion, do you have to put Lacazette more central?
I think you have to play Aubameyang. I just because his goals, if you want to do well in this league and you want to achieve, you have to have someone that's going to get you 20 plus goals, and Aubameyang will get them that regardless. And
can you get that from either side of the central striker?
He probably can, but he's probably better up the middle, because he will play to either centre back, so he'll go off whichever he feels he is more of an opportunity to make runs and create space for himself, and so he'll drift in between both sides. It is a hard call, because Lacazette's got goal in well, probably not as consistently as Aubameyang. It's going to be a tough call for the manager, but you feel that with what they have, there is much more of a competition in those areas, and their goal scoring ability is without doubt.
The other thing I just wanted to ask you about with Arsenal was obviously David Luiz's debut at the weekend. Picked up a booking. Arsenal conceded poor enough goal. Burnley had chances to perhaps equalise. Like, it was, to me, a classic Arsenal performance in a way, even though they got the win in the end. And David Luiz is the perfect embodiment of classic Arsenal, I think.
Yeah, it was shaky, and towards the end, they were being put under pressure, but they still withstood it a bit because Burnley do offer a much more physical strike force than what most teams in the Premier League do. They get in their faces, they harass, they chase balls, and David Luiz, it wasn't an amazing performance for him, but it was his first game for them, and I think he stood up well to the task. They towards the last few minutes, with it being 2-1, there was always going to be opportunities there, Burnley putting the ball into the box and causing problems, but Arsenal did stand up to it, and it's only the second game of the season, so it's very hard to judge them already. But you think, based on what they would have done before, sometimes Burnley, you think of Burnley or Stoke back in the day would have come back and maybe got a draw from that game, they would have crumbled. So for them to hold on to the win and have 6 points from the first 2 games, and they weren't 2 easy games. When you look on paper, you think Newcastle, Burnley, great. Any top 4 side would be delighted to have them too because they think it's 6 points, but realistically, they're difficult matches to get points out because those teams are usually well organised. Newcastle at home are unpredictable. You don't know how they're going to turn up. Burnley are always consistent and hard to beat. So for Arsenal and the way they've been known for a little bit kind of sheepish and not they wilt slightly, I think it's been two good wins for them.
Would you be concerned about Jeff Hendrick not getting any game time at this stage of the season?
Yeah, very concerned. It's a long season, there's only 2 games in, so there's an opportunity for him to play at some point, but what we need from our Irish players to be playing every week, and Robbie, I'm not sure if Robbie's injured or not, but Robbie's not been involved at all, and Jeff not playing. You see, James McCarthy has moved to try and get game time, which is important, but for Ireland and for his own career, he needs to be playing on a regular basis, chipping in with assists and goals, because that's the type of midfielder we all want him to be and what he's capable of being. So from now 2 games in, it's not the end of the world. It is only 2 games, so there's a lot more football to play. But you'd like to hopefully you get more of a chance. I
think Robbie Brady had been carrying a rib injury, but he was expected back for the first game of the season, and wasn't. Sorry, he wasn't expected back for the first game of the season, but he obviously was named in the Ireland squad, the big squad. So we'll have to wait and see.
The one last takeaway from Arsenal Burnley was possibly the best tweet of all time at Tom Victor. Of course, you mentioned Nicolas Pepe making Ben Mee look a little bit foolish. He nutmegged him, and Tom Victor tweeted, they need to rename Nicolas Pepe Valerie for the way he made a fool out of me, which was absolutely fantastic and probably the best thing I've seen all weekend. We should probably talk about Manchester City Spurs. Biggest game of the weekend. There was kind of like a red wedding vibe to the manner in which it happened, with Aguero and Pep hugging each other in the sideline, Gabriel Jesus celebrating, and then just a perfectly delayed reaction to what happened. What was your take on all that and the VAR decision?
As rules go, the VAR decision was right. Any handball that results in a goal, any accidental handball that results in a goal, the goal should be disallowed. So VAR was correct and it was right, but for the 65,000 people in the stand that couldn't see what happened and were bewildered by what was going on, it must have been extremely frustrating to watch. For me, Tottenham getting the result was great, but it's disappointing that it's always going to come back to this. It's going to have to be explained after every weekend. There's going to be a decision that has to be explained, and people are going to be talking about it. So this is going to probably overshadow all the good football that went on, because this is what's going to be talked about more. And it's the right thing to do to have VAR involved, because it will eliminate any, I suppose, errors from the referee's point of view. But it's the not knowing, and not everybody would have known that rule, and people watching, unless you were watching on TV, you wouldn't be able to be explained to you or talked about, and you wouldn't see what happened. So from that sense, it's a bit disappointing.
But it's not VAR's fault, obviously.
No.
It's the thing. That got it spot on.
Yeah, it got it absolutely spot on. But it's whether that rule should stand. And when you look at it, I think that goal should stand. I think there's no intent there whatsoever. He's not even looking at the ball. His arm's not out past his body. I remember when we went to the Euros in 2012, there was a big discussion about your arm being more than 20 centimetres away from your body, so your arms had to be out for anything beside it. His arm was beside the side, and I know it's still his arm, but that could easily have hit his ribs or his hip and gone to him, because they're almost in the same position. So you're thinking that should not stand. But VAR got it right. It's whether the handball rule needs to be re-looked at, but that's not going to happen this season because we're already on their way.
The game was absolutely insane. 30 shots to 3. It is one of the most remarkable points that Spurs will get this season. And is there any case you can make to the fact that they deserved a point?
Not really. Not really. I think going into the game, with the way City started the first game of the season, you kind of felt this is going to be a tough ask for Tottenham to get anything up there. City, as we said before, they're just a juggernaut. They go from strength to strength, and the way they play the purpose. De Bruyne 2 assists again. Sterling scoring. They're just relentless. So you went thinking, I was hopeful that Tottenham would get a result, but I wasn't too sure that was going to happen. So for to come out with a draw on the back of the way the game went, with the shots that City had, Lloris has come up with a couple of good saves, and then for them to score a couple of goals up there, which is great for them. Lamela chipping in, who started the season well last year, but faded as we got further into it, and hopefully he can, I think, have a longer spell in the team and longer spell creating goals and scoring goals, because he is a very good player. It's just he's so up and down. You don't know how well he's going to perform. But for Tottenham, unbelievable result. Deservedly, not really, but they'll take it.
James Ducker is making a point in the newspaper this morning that Manchester United's 9-0 win over Ipswich is in threat as the record as the biggest win in Premier League this season, that Manchester City are going to score 10 goals in a game this season.
Yeah, you can see it. You can absolutely see it. If they get a team that is totally off the pace or not up to it, City are so relentless. The FA Cup final last year, the last game of the season for them, that made me feel wow, because when you see how ruthless they were in that game, and they were still going for it towards the end, they still wanted more, and I felt sorry for Watford. I really felt sorry for them. It was the biggest game in the club's history for a long, long time, and City just absolutely swatted them away, and this wasn't through lack of effort through Watford. So you feel if a team is not at the races, that City could absolutely annihilate them.
I mean, obviously Watford haven't yet got a point this season, but they're not rubbish. Like,
no, last season was arguably one of their best seasons they've had. So they were a good side. They're improving. They're looking to be pushing towards the top half of the table, the top 6 spot, which is what their manifesto is trying to set out to do. So they were a good side, but the way City dealt with them on a big occasion was outstanding, and you kind of feel it. They've continued on.
So just to tease us out about City though, they have drawn that game 2-2, even though they're the clearly superior footballing team and they've had all the possession. And in the Champions League, they've gone out in the last 2 seasons, even though they've been the superior team, and they've had all the possession and they've conceded these goals. So there's a kink in whatever matrix Pep Guardiola has built, to the point where they're not infallible, even though they look so amazing.
Yeah, the only part of the pitch that you would possibly question City is defensively. You would think that they do give you a slight opportunity. I'm not saying they're bad defenders, but they don't. Vincent Kompany at his peak, they don't have that anymore. They don't have, like, Laporta's very good and they've got good options. They play well. Zinchenko left back, he's a good left back, but they're not. You can get chances from them, which is, they always feel that they can score more goals. That's the problem with City. They're almost like, if you get one, they feel they can get 2 or 3. So going forward is not an issue. But defensively, if they will give you an opportunity, and if you can get a goal against them, then you're in a chance if you can stay defensively solid. But it's keeping their front few out is almost an impossible task.
He hasn't been amazing at signing defenders, really.
No.
Kyle Walker is good, right?
Well, Kyle Walker is exactly what he wanted in a fullback. Electric pace, up and down the pitch. But Kyle Walker was not known for his defensive abilities. His pace gets him out of a lot of situations because he is so quick.
Which is grand in the Premier League when you're playing Burnley and Norwich and Watford, but when you go to the Champions League, granted, okay, so last season they went out against another Premier League team, but like, you're going to get caught out over a period of time.
Yeah, well, they got even the weekend, the first goal, Mora, who was full credit to Mora. It was a great spring, early jump got there, but Mora is, I don't know, 5-something. Kyle Walker looks about 6 foot. When balls are coming to the box like that, your defenders should be attacking it, and you should feel confident that they're going to win everything, and especially if they're marking a player who's small. Don't get me wrong, it happens sometimes, but if Kyle Walker had stuck to his task and gone and defended that properly, they wouldn't have scored. And it was one of the smallest players in the pitch that scored a header after just being introduced into the pitch. So from that point of view, that's something that they don't do, but they're so focused on going forward and playing out that defensively they kind of feel like they have so much of the ball, almost like it's doesn't have to, it will take care of itself, if you know what I mean.
I mean, win a Champions League for me and come back to me and tell me that, Pep. Come on.
I don't think that was actually mentioned enough in commentary, to be honest with you. The fact that Walker got beaten by Lucas Moura.
Absolutely.
Like, if you talk about City defensively, granted, I know you've already said that it's not a massive issue, but it is an issue if you had to pick one. Liverpool are going through something similar at the moment. How worried would you be?
Well, Liverpool, not all the good they did last year, but everybody knew Liverpool's front three are outstanding. They can score goals at will, and at some point in every game, one of those front three will get a goal for you. The issues they were resolving was the back four and the goalkeeper, which they did last season. Van Dijk was Colossus, could probably win the Ballon d'Or. Alisson, most clean sheets in the season. So for them this season to be talking about having defensive frailties when they were probably the best back four in the league last season is crazy, because nothing's changed. The goalkeeper's been injured, fine, and he is a huge part of it. And Adrian, who came in over the weekend, he absolutely gifted a goal away, and I know Klopp has defended him, but it was just, I do not know what he was thinking. He's probably been asked to do something he's not normally asked to do, but
so you must have been in a team where that's happened before, where a goalkeeper's done something stupid like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you just put it down to brain fart, or do you go, this guy,
I think I feel for him, there was so much on the far side of the pitch. He's tried to put a ball back into an area that was the only area that was being pressurised by Southampton. The only part that was being pressurised by Southampton was the left side. So he's tried to reverse the ball back into an area where the balls come from and where they're actually closing down. Whereas it's not like he didn't have time. He could have turned his body out and had Alexander-Arnold to the right, Matip, and could have actually just passed the ball into space. Didn't even have to find anybody, and they would have been clear danger. So
it's actually worse than a brain fart. It's not fully understanding exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe being asked,
that causes concern.
Yeah,
deeper.
Because if he's been asked to do something that, again, he's not as comfortable with, which is what Liverpool want. Alisson gets on the ball and distributes really well and is comfortable with it, and he takes risks, don't get me wrong. And with his first few games, everybody's like, he was trying to chop inside people and take people on sometimes, but he turned out to be one of the best signings of the season. It's strange for us to be talking this early on about Liverpool and how that they've given chances away, but in every game they've given chances. They haven't had a clean sheet, and against opposition that even Norwich, who scored a goal against them first game of the season, they gave them chances.
What is Liverpool's best midfield? He's used three different three-man combinations in 4 games.
I'm actually not sure yet. I'm really not sure, because on the basis of last season, you would think Henderson came to his own towards the end, and I wouldn't be the greatest fan of Henderson, but I think as the season went on and they got to the Champions League final, he seemed to be becoming very important to him. I know he's the club captain, but I would have thought those people in there were better than him. But last season, he really kind of staked his claim as being someone that's just starting there. Wijnaldum, again, I think he's one that probably has to play. He offers a lot going forward, runs to the ball. He's defensively minded as well, so he can get around the pitch. The other one, that's the space that's up for grabs for me. I'm not too sure. Keita looks like a very good player, but has suffered from injuries a bit, and he hasn't had enough game time to really have cemented his place. Milner, I think, will be a bit part player. I don't think he's going to play regularly, and he will play full back sometimes and play centre midfield. So it's hard to kind of know which one he's going to settle on. And again, it's still early on the season. They're still working out some kinks, and they're on the back of what was such a successful campaign last year. They have a manager that knows what he wants, and he will be able to identify areas that have not been that good, and he'll be working on training and trying to make sure that they get back to the levels that they were at last season. But they haven't reached them yet, even though they're free flow scoring. But defensively, that's when they have to be a bit more solid. Like if they could get and go like Kante, I think that would solve all their problems.
They're 2 points clear of Man City, though, and we all know that's a big lead in the title race when it comes to City versus Liverpool. Just to go back to Spurs to kind of round out the top 4 talk, a lot of people thought that Spurs were genuine title contenders this year. After that performance where you get battered so spectacularly, can you put that down to one game and as a club move on and go, that's okay, let's chisel the points out, let's stay on their coattails and we'll get better as the season goes on?
Yeah, I would say Tottenham being Tottenham and knowing the club very well, that being title contenders won't sit well with them, because I don't think that label is going to be good for them. But going to Man City, and regardless of how Man City played and the VAR result, coming away with a 2-2 draw, even if you didn't perform that well, that's the sign of a good team. Teams that can edge out results and come away with something at the end of a match when they haven't played that well. Tottenham played okay, but City were just so dominant. So as Tottenham go on, if they can performances against other teams and beat the likes of Manchester United, which is going to be important, Chelsea, City is the team that they're going to be fighting with, and they're going to have to take points off, which they already have. but it's the other teams around them that they need to be consistent and be comfortable at beating that's going to tell whether or not they're title contenders.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be too concerned by the fact that the game flow was so one-sided.
No, not the way that Man City and not the way City have come out of the traps this season. City have pretty much got a very similar team to what they had last year, so it was easy for them to just. Tottenham have changed things a little bit. They've brought in a few new players. I know majority of them was the same, but there's still been a little bit of time to knit in, and it's only the second game of the season, so you think you give them a little bit of leeway. But to come away with 1-1 draw from a Man City is a great result for them, and they'd be delighted with. They'll go on and think of almost a bit of a smash and grab. They've come away thinking that we're lucky, but it's still a point on the board.
Man United obviously fairly ebullient after the 4-0 win on the opening day of the season for them. They're up against a Wolves side who've had their number a little bit over the last 18 months, and tonight at Wolves, this is where we get to kind of see if the 4-0 wasn't really 4-0, and if Solskjaer's fitness regime and all the stuff that he's talked about have had any impact. I think that if you were to offer Solskjaer a draw now, he'd probably take it.
Based on last season, they take it, and based on how they've done against Wolves in the past, they'd probably take a draw. But if you're Manchester United and you're Solskjaer and you're looking for your team to be in the top 4 and to make some serious steps in the way they were last year, I know Wolves are a very good side, but they still got to be thinking we've got to go to the Molineux and win. I know Wolves are extremely good. Last season they've done so well, and I think this season you can see them being the same, if not better. The system they play, the players they have, it fits so well with what the manager's philosophy is and how he sets them up. So it's not going to be easy. But Manchester United as a club and as a team that are looking to progress and be better than what they were the last few seasons, they've got to be thinking we can get 3 points here.
Yeah. Are they good enough to?
I don't know.
Honestly, they don't need 3 points to, if the aim isn't right. Like, I don't think they're realistic title contenders at all. I'm sure they probably still do. But if the aim is to finish top 4, you go away to Wolves team who are going to take points off everybody else. You hopefully score and get a score draw and you're happy. No?
Yeah, I think, listen, based on how Wolves have performed the last season and what they've done against Manchester United, you would think a draw would be a good result. But I don't think Manchester United, they won't be thinking like that. Obviously, their mindset is not going to be let's go, and if we can get a draw, they're going to be thinking we can win this game, because realistically, they have the players to cause Wolves problems. They have the players that can score goals for them, dictate a game, and they could run over the top of them if they perform at a high enough level. Against Chelsea were unlucky at the start of the game, and then Manchester United was just extremely clinical, which is kind of what Manchester United would have been like in the past. They didn't always used to dominate every game. They just would have been, they'd finish teams off. And that's kind of the way you used to play against Manchester United. You kind of feel like you're in it, and all of a sudden you're 2-0 down and the game is over because they got 2 chances. If Man U can be like that throughout the course of the season, with those players finishing off chances and scoring goals and creating, then they should be beating Wolves.
Solskjaer's been speaking about Harry Maguire this week, and how the partnership is not just with Victor Lindelof but with David De Gea, and how the plan is for the 3 of them to be very comfortable with one another, especially playing out from the back. If you've got Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof and David De Gea, are you giving the green light and playing out from the back? That is the way to go?
Yeah, definitely. That's what you want to do. Every other team has made strides forward in this department, and then with the new rules about being able to come into the box and pass, even though I think it can be very risky at times because you're just inviting pressure on your own goal, which is crazy. I was watching the weekend for Reading and I was thinking, you're not good enough to be doing this, so take it easy. But Manchester United, different kettle of fish, and you got to be looking at with Maguire and Lindelof and De Gea that there's been talks in the paper about how he's been working on his footwork and trying to improve his distribution on the backwards. It's not bad. They're probably hoping that that's something they're going to work on. So they're definitely going to be working on that being a little diamond that they can pass the ball between and create a space for them to come out with. But that's every team is going that direction. Well, all the big teams are going that direction where they want to play it from the back, and you would think now that all those 3 players are there on long contracts and there for a long time, that they have a foundation to be able to try and do that.
It looks like they're going to get Alexis Sanchez away from the club at the moment with Inter. Like yesterday, it was confirmed that Inter are in talks with Manchester United for Alexis Sanchez. Just for anybody who missed it, it would have been a loan until June 2020 and a buy option for €15 million. Part of the wage obviously paid by Manchester United because he gets paid so much. He asked the club and Solskjaer to join Inter. Now it just depends on Like, really, I think that decision is pretty clear, isn't it?
Oh yeah. The thing is, I don't think Sanchez would be a bad egg around the place. He doesn't strike me as the type of character that, I don't know, so I could be totally wrong here, but it doesn't strike me as someone that's going to be in and messing up training sessions and kicking up a fuss. So, but I just think his confidence is so low. He feels like, I'm not going to play here, I need to get out and play. So he's going to go to them and ask them. And Man U, it makes total sense. If you can get any of his wages reclaimed, then it's going to just, you can add into back into the club.
They mustn't have like Sky Sports or any Premier League provider in Italy, considering Inter Milan got Lukaku and Sanchez now.
Yeah, they don't watch many games. But no, it's his potential of what he can do, and a free-flowing player of Sanchez's ability who is confident. He's not lost his ability. He's still a very good player. It's just he's been not really done it for the last few months. And we spoke about before about how the opportunities at Arsenal, he was given the ball so many times at Arsenal and everything went through him. So it was... because he was on the ball so often, he was creating more chances, he was scoring more goals. Whereas when he went to United, that was different. He didn't.
Many mouths to feed, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a different setup.
Stephen, good stuff. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. Now, a reminder that this September, the Off the Wall Roadshow in association with Cadbury are bringing Premier League legends Roy Keane and Gary Neville to the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. The former Man United players will join us for a special off-air event on the 4th of September. Tickets went on sale on Friday at 10 o'clock. And they were sold out a few hours later on Friday evening. All proceeds are going to Aware, providing support and information for people who experience depression. But if you didn't manage to get your hands on tickets to the event, don't worry. We will be running exclusive competitions across Off the Ball for the next 2 weeks. Stay tuned to OTB AM for more on that.